New wave. Music from the future. By the mid-70s, rock had lost its spark. Bands like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, and the Rolling Stones still filled stadiums. But the thrill was gone. Then came punk. In 1976 and 1977, punk blew everything apart and reset the rules. Out of its ashes came two new directions. One was post-punk, darker and more experimental. Bands like Joy Division turned fear and emptiness into sound. The other was new wave, brighter and more stylish. It kept punk's energy but added melody, rhythm, and attitude. It was punk with keyboards and a smile. The term came from French cinema, where new wave meant renewal and courage. In music, it meant the same thing. As Elvis Costello said, punk was the spark. New wave was the fire that kept burning.
Post-punk and new wave, two sides of the same coin.
Welcome to your life.
Although post-punk and new wave came from the same roots, they went in different directions. Post-punk was introspective and gray, full of tension and experiment. It was the echo of punk, but with more depth and emotion. New wave focused on the world outside instead. It was colorful, danceable, and optimistic. Where post-punk showed the emptiness of the city, new wave gave that city light, style, and motion. Post-punk sounded like night. New wave sounded like neon. Both reflected the same world, but in a different light. One of the few bands that could bridge both worlds was New Order, born out of Joy Division. After Joy Division ended, they took the melancholy of post-punk and reshaped it with synthesizers and drum machines. Their song Blue Monday from 1983 became a blueprint for modern new wave, cold in sound but full of emotion. It became the best-selling 12-inch single of all time. New Order proved that electronics and feeling did not have to be opposites. They made machines sound human.
Key players. In New York, the iconic nightclub CBGB's was the heart of it all. Bands like Talking Heads and Blondie played their first shows there. They kept punk's energy but added melody, irony, and style. Talking Heads turned alienation into art. Blondie brought glamour and pop feeling. And the B-52s made it fun and surreal, like a comic book come to life. At the same time, in Ohio, Devo created something totally new. They called it de-evolution. They wore yellow suits, played with machines, and mocked the modern world. Their hit, Whip It, made robotic pop sound exciting and strange. Across the Atlantic, Gary Numan, frontman of Two Boy Army, took the same machines and made them sound cold, futuristic, and emotional. His 1979 hit, Our Friends Electric, felt like science fiction turned into music. Numan said, "I wanted my music to sound like it came from another world, but with real emotion." The song's melody stayed powerful for decades and was later sampled by the Sugar Babes in Freak Like Me. And then there was Brian Eno, the quiet architect behind the sound. He produced records for Talking Heads, Devo, and Ultravox, and helped shape what new wave would become. Eno said, "The studio is an instrument." He turned experiments into music and gave chaos a pulse. In Britain, artists like Elvis Costello and The Attractions, Squeeze, Ecstasy, and The Police defined the early sound of new wave. Their songs were smart, tight, and stylish, full of rhythm, wit, and a sense of modern life. Elvis Costello's Pump It Up, Squeeze's Cool for Cats, and the amazing song Making Plans for Nigel from Ecstasy showed how wit and urgency could live inside catchy, modern pop.
We're only making plans for Nigel.
By 1980, new wave was everywhere, from London studios to New York's clubs. The Police scored a big hit with Message in a Bottle. Talking Heads released Once in a Lifetime. And Depeche Mode made the world dance with Just Can't Get Enough. When MTV launched in 1981, New Wave already looked like the future. Sunglasses, bright colors, and strange haircuts turned it into pop culture. Mike Score of A Flock of Seagulls said, "We wanted to look like our music sounded, a little alien."
The golden years, style, synths, and melancholy. Between 1980 and 1984, New Wave was everywhere. Duran Duran, The Human League, Ultravox, Eurythmics, A Flock of Seagulls, and Depeche Mode defined the sound of the time. Their videos ruled MTV, and their music filled both clubs and arenas. In America, artists like Berlin and Missing Persons kept the style alive, glamorous, futuristic, and emotional. But the influence of New Wave reached far beyond the genre itself. Even rock stars outside the movement adopted its sound. For example, Bruce Springsteen's Dancing in the Dark had a synth line at its heart. Billy Joel's Pressure in Allentown carried that same cold electronic tone that defined the early 80s. Rush added synths to their prog rock on Subdivisions, and what about this one? New Wave changed the studio. Guitars moved back. Keyboards and rhythm machines took over. Pop suddenly sounded tight, clean, and modern. Lyrics were not only about love anymore, but about identity, technology, and alienation. Annie Lennox said, "We were all dancing on our own loneliness." It was the sound of a world growing faster and colder, but still longing to feel.
Different sounds, same spirit. Not every New Wave band sounded the same. Some used machines to explore ideas and emotions. Others used them to create power and shine. Bands like Talking Heads, New Order, and Depeche Mode made music that felt human, even when it was made by machines. Their songs were about modern life, loneliness, and identity. They used technology to ask questions, not to hide behind it.
You may find yourself living in a shotgun shack.
But others, like Duran Duran, Berlin, and Missing Persons, took a different path. They made music that was big, clean, and made more for dancing. It was glossy, stylish, and built for the world of MTV.
Where do we go from here?
That was the beauty of New Wave. It could be art or it could be pop. It could feel or it could shine. And sometimes it did both at once.
Women in the spotlight. One of the most striking things about New Wave was the visible role of women. Unlike many other scenes, they were not standing at the edge. They were leading it. Debbie Harry of Blondie became an icon, strong, glamorous, and independent. Chrissie Hynde of The Pretenders gave the music a raw edge without losing elegance. And Annie Lennox broke gender rules with her androgynous look. They shaped the face of New Wave, not as exceptions, but as examples. Their influence reached into fashion, performance, and identity. They showed that pop could be smart, emotional, and visual all at once. Chrissie Hynde once said, "It was never about being a woman in a band. It was about being in a band that mattered."
Fashion, style, and identity. New Wave was more than music. It was a way of life. Sharp suits, leather, metallic fabrics, and bright colors became the uniform of a generation that wanted to wear the future. British designer Vivienne Westwood, who had shaped punk fashion, became a key voice in this new phase. Her designs turned rebellion into elegance. Fashion became art, and art became pop. The dance floor was a stage. The mirror was a symbol. New Wave showed that style was not shallow. It was a way of saying, "I exist."
Film, design, and photography. The influence of New Wave went beyond sound. Films like Liquid Sky and Desperately Seeking Susan captured the urban mix of freedom and isolation. The concert film Stop Making Sense by Talking Heads turned a live show into a work of art. Advertising, fashion, and photography followed the same look: neon, steel, and glass. New Wave was not only a sound, it was a way of seeing.
The legacy. The future keeps dancing. When New Wave slowly faded, its influence stayed everywhere. It brought technology into pop and showed that synthesizers could be as emotional as guitars. Producer Daniel Miller of Mute Records said, "New Wave showed that imperfection can have style." That style never disappeared. It simply moved forward. In the 2000s, the spirit of New Wave returned with new names and forms. Bands like The Bravery, The Killers, and Empire of the Sun revived the sound with synths, dance beats, and a touch of melancholy.
Walking on a dream. How the nights.
But also in electronic music, the echo of the 80s kept ringing. Artists like Cut Copy, Future Islands, and Tame Impala used the same blend of romance and technology that once defined New Wave. Even pop stars like The Weeknd built their sound on that world of neon night and desire. The legacy of New Wave is not tied to one era, but to a feeling. The belief that progress only matters when it still carries emotion. New Wave never truly ended. It just kept evolving, like the machines that powered it. Thank you for watching. We are the Boys Next Door. We talk music.
Like and subscribe for more top 10s and other music videos.